just infusing some motion in there is really interesting to me because suddenly it can, the best part is when you have this clunky machine and then you see it start to move, and then all of a sudden for just a brief second it transforms into something else where you're like, what? That was much more human than machine, and what's going on there? And then it goes away again and it's just a machine. Because just one or the other is sort of limited and not very true to the real story, which is that we're all a little bit elegant and a little bit awkward, clumsy. So this piece is called Skiddish. I really wanted to make a chair that was kind of nervous and wanted to get away from you when you came towards it. It really bothers me that so much kinetic sculpture is rooted in a static base. Well, how could you make a kinetic art piece that's not rooted in a static base, that's totally kinetic? And so immediately I was like, well, it's got to be something that jumps up, gets itself off the ground. So this thing's entire purpose is to just crank itself down, stretch out its bungee cords, and then release and jump itself up, get itself just a little bit off the ground. It's constantly struggling to get its thing done, and then its thing is, that's the point of the thing, and then it's over and you gotta start all over again. I think one of the things that I look for when I go to see art is I want it to engage me, and I demand that it engage me, and if it doesn't engage me with relative ease, then it doesn't, I feel like it hasn't done its job. It's moving, so how can you can't ignore it. If something is this big and moving this much, you can't ignore it. It's in your face, it's in your presence, it's in your space a little bit. In some ways, you can lose a lot that way also. You can, if it's moving too much, if it's invasive too much, it's going to drive you away. You're going to say, oh, this is difficult and uncomfortable and I'm going to leave. Or it can go the route of entertainment. It can just be sort of, oh, that's fun, it's interesting, it's eye candy, and you forget about it and you walk away. And what I hope is that I'm getting somewhere in between where you're engaged by that, but you're also intrigued by that and you're wondering what's going on. As you turn this crank, you raise and lower the rods in the whole mechanism. That changes both its center of mass and also how flexible the parts above are. Because I'm 6'8", I often find that I'm sort of towering over other people I'm around. It's sort of been that way since I was about a sophomore in high school. So it's always led to me sort of mitigating my stature in social interactions, just so I'm don't come off too intimidating or overbearing. Which is weird that that's something that I sort of unconsciously think about all the time, but it's sort of become the natural way of doing things. So when I go to sculpture, I think I start with that, start with my scale and slightly oversize my scale. And I think about how something oversized can sort of impact you with its presence. So when the viewer comes to this, they're going to find it a little oversized and a little bit overbearing. And in some ways I can use this to explore the sort of aggression in social situation, or sort of let my overbearingness take its form in this static thing which somebody can walk away from if they choose to. There's so many things that we fill our lives with, or that are surrounding us all the time, that aren't really that useful, that maybe we think about as really useful, but we'd be fine without them. And so that was, I think, in some way a background to a lot of these things. It's like they're useless in a really explicit way.